Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Town of Rocky Mountain House Regular Council meeting for December 19th, 2023. Mayor Bache has advised council she will be away until February 1st, 2024, so I will be chairing the meeting today. So with that being said, I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. So adoption of the agenda. Do we have any changes to the agenda today? No? Councillor Schipul.
Also move the agenda as presented.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? None. Okay, we'll call that to a vote. Those in favor and none opposed, that is carried. So item 3, public hearing, we are going to table until 1 p.m. today, since that was the time we had advertised it would be taking place. So just looking for a motion to table.
I
Councillor
will
Phillips.
make a motion to table item 3.1 until 1 p.m.
Thank you. Any discussion on the motion? None. Call that to vote. Those in favor and none opposed, that is carried. So we have 2 delegations today. First one is Mr. Doug Lott from the Rocky and District Minor Football Association. So Mr. Lott, if you want to come on up and take a seat. Thank you for coming back again today. How are you today?
I'm good.
Good. So I think council just had a couple of questions for you here, just when it comes to the lighting project. So if you have anything that you want to start with, feel free, please.
I don't think so. I mean, you know, I came and spoke before. There were some questions that came back, which I supplied to Wes, which I believe want to report to you guys. So I'm
Okay.
here at your request.
Okay, so I'll open that up to council then, if council has any questions for Mr. Lott this morning. Councillor Schipul?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, to Mr. Lott. So the original document you brought before us didn't have the gifts in kind at the bottom. The second document we had gifts in kind. And so one of the questions that we were talking about was typically the budget would have line items for gifts in kind where it'd be taken out of the price. So the question was, you've indicated that there's a shortfall of $116,000. Does that, how do gifts in kind flow into that statement? And I'm assuming, or we assumed, we didn't know for sure, were they taking out of the budget or what happened there?
I guess it's a little bit in flux there with that, as we weren't, we were still working on some of those as well. And as far as most of the gift in kinds that we were looking for, which I guess to update you guys as well, Shane Myers has come back to us. He's willing to donate and deliver the 30 cubes of crushed gravel needed for the base of the foundation for it. So we're still working on getting those and how they apply. Once we realized we were at the shortfall, we've got 3 quotes for the foundations themselves, but how those gifts and kinds were going to impact those was a little bit tough to determine, because we sort of put the brakes on things at that point in time and said, okay, we know we have a shortfall here. We know it's substantial. It's more than something we can run a bake sale and fix. So we haven't chose that, we haven't chose the contractor for the foundations yet, which is where the bulk of the gift in kind stuff will come. Like Merv Paderni has committed a 50% reduction in the cost of concrete. Shane Myers has, just got back to us recently saying he'll donate the gravel for the foundations and stuff like that. So a lot of it was tough to line item. Brad Turner, for instance, gave us an amazing gift in kind. I think it amounted to $20,000 or $30,000 off of the cost of the lighting and stuff like that for it. So we just went with what the actual costs were, what we had spent, right? The lights had been paid for. We wrote the check for X amount of dollars. We didn't include that as it should have cost us this, and we only paid that.
So the question we had was, what is the number that we're approving in our budget to give? Because there's, even in your discussion here, there's unknowns in that price. So it's 116,000 is the
116 is 116 is the number we had come to as best we could, working with Brad Turner and Ray Lanchberry, who were kind of the technical guys on that side of stuff, in conjunction, I guess, with Wes and with Mike Lundstrom a little bit, was sort of, okay, this is where we're at. If we can do something to mitigate those costs, I'd rather come back to you and say, here's $10,000 we didn't use, as opposed to come back to you guys next, in the spring and say, we're 20,000 short again. So.
And to that, I think we're just the opposite. We don't want to give you money that I mean, money's hard to come by.
Yeah, no,
Taxpayers' money, we need to be ensuring that we're giving you.
we wanted to
the
be,
money
once we
required.
knew we were at a shortfall, we wanted to be proactive and say, okay, we know this is, we think is, you know, our worst case scenario. If we can make it better, we can. But we wanted to be in front of it and deal with it as quickly as we could, so.
Okay. The pecuniary interest is part where we went there.
Yeah, I get it for sure.
Yeah. The county, where are they at on this? Have you spoke to the county yet?
I
or-
have been in touch with Matt. We'll be on their agenda into January, so.
Okay. The other thing is, we've got a piece of paper here, and the question that came forward around the table was, normally we get pricing on everything times 3, to make sure that we get appropriate pricing or reasonable
Yeah.
pricing. Did that happen? And,
We do have 3 pricing. On the poles themselves, poles are a fairly specialized
yeah,
item, so we went with what our industry guys said was probably our best company to go with. Their company they had worked with as well. Brad had been involved with the project right from the start, so these were the pole guys he had worked with and had a good working relationship with. And again, it's tough to find 3 manufacturers of poles, you know, I mean, we could have got a price from somebody in Texas, but then shipping them would have been cost prohibitive, right? So we went with the local guys as best we could. We do have 3 quotes, and there's quite a range on the quotes for the foundations. We do have 3 quotes for them, which I believe I detailed in the last report from Wes. We had K-Rite. They came in anywhere from $80,000 to $90,000. PMCL out of Red Deer, they were 87,000 plus 22 for epoxy, and then they were cost plus. They wanted so much to drive out every day. They wanted so much for working on stats, travel time, sub, standby. Like it was, you know, they had a base price, and then it was cost plus out the yin yang. And then we also got local contractor Mountain West, which is Ryan Wilberg. He was probably actually, you know, the best one, but his was a much smaller in scope, right? We got K-Rite, who I believe did the pool, and I think maybe we're involved in the spray park, Wes? You know, they came in at 80 to 95,000, which included setting some of the poles. Mountain West was just basically the foundations and stuff like that. They came in at 57,750, and they're the local guys, so that's positive there as well. But so we did get 3 quotes moving forward there.
thank you.
Good, Mr. Schiffel, or Counselor Schiffel? You're okay? Okay, then Counselor Phillips.
I just have a quick question. So the light poles are paid for. Are
Yeah.
they sitting in a warehouse somewhere, or are they?
They are
Expected to be
sitting
delivered?
at Seco Poles. We didn't get them shipped. When we knew it wasn't gonna get completed this fall, they had room to store them.
Okay.
They're 80 feet tall, so now storage becomes an issue, and where do we, you know, we don't have a lay-down yard, we haven't started construction or anything like that.
But the lights are here.
Yeah, the lights are here, you bet, the lights are landed and on the ground, so,
Okay.
and part of all the mounting hardware for the poles is on the ground here in town, so.
So just a quick question. When would you need a decision made by the town and county in order to effectively have construction for this year?
Realistically, we would need to have that done, you know, I would say by, you know, mid-end of February is when we'd need so we can get contractors locked in. We want to get this stuff done. We'd like to put shovels in the ground probably the 3rd, 4th week in June, once the schools are done. We don't want to do construction during rugby season and during track and field and stuff like that. The spring tends to be busy down there. Football does have a little bit going on as well. Once you're into July, you can kind of shut that area off, make it a construction zone. There isn't a ton other than watering and mowing that happens sort of through July, so.
Okay, thank you.
Counselor Hutchinson.
I guess for me, what I'd like to see is, and I don't know if the ask is appropriate or not, but I would like to see like the whole project summary. I would like to see the initial cost, the cost that we paid with gift in kind included in there. You know, you've got the list of some of these gift in kind, but I don't know where they fit in your table of, you know, does this fit under installation, does it fit under engineering? Like there, it's just too broad for me to even, you know, put my head around it. I tried plunking in gift in kind on some of these items, but again, I have no idea how it fits. and I think if we had some, something a little more detailed to say that lighting specifically, it was just the lights. Total price was 100,000, 86 is what was paid, or 86 is going to be paid, or whatever it may be, and then the 25,000, or whatever it might be for gift in kind, and where that's coming from. And if it was kind of laid out in front of us a little bit more detailed, we're looking at town and county already contributing 150,000, and, with this ask another, so that's $270,000. That's a good chunk of what the town and county are contributing if we go further ahead with this. And I just think that for the taxpayers and for the people, we have to be accountable for everything and where exactly that gift in kind comes in, and what might be, like I said, detailed under each of those categories.
I think we're getting that a little bit more dialed in now as well, as to where we are moving forward, as we've had some time to get some things to settle out. I'm still waiting to hear from a crane supplier. I know we've had Downs in town placed our C-CAN for us, for instance, as gift in kind, so we're just waiting to, one of our board members has a relationship with Downs, so he's working with them to see what they can do, to help us reduce the cost of setting the poles as well. So I could certainly provide something a little more dialed in the new year for you guys, for sure. We'd probably have a better idea. Like, I only got the call from Shane Myers on Friday of last week, saying that that's what he was, that he was prepared to do it, which is awesome. That's an amazing gift in kind. So it really is nice to see some members of the community, such as Bernice and Shane, coming through and chipping in for this project. So they see the value in it as an enhancement for the whole community, right? Like, it isn't just football that benefits from this thing. We got the CFIP grant because football will benefit for sure from it, but so will soccer, so will the skating oval. That's been something that's been a part of it, is making better lighting down there for the skating park, or for the skate oval, so that people can feel, a little safer. The lighting's better down there, so that people can use it till, 9, 10 o'clock at night, putting in, and so that it's lit around there, you time or something on it, so at 10 o'clock, whatever, the rec park decides, that's shut off, right? So, the First Nations, they've done their Aboriginal Day stuff down there for the last couple of years now as well. They might, make use of it if there's lighting down there in the evening as well. So we've been involved with this thing from the start, but it isn't just football that benefits from this thing as well. So it is really a community enhancement, so.
So I had another question regarding the bases, the foundation of it. Is this a standard procedure for putting up poles? I know there's, other methods, driving piles down and whatnot. How much research has gone into what is required?
Yeah, substantial amount of research went into it, because when we went through this, again, when I was dealing with some of my industry guys, back when we were putting this thing together, we had no idea that the foundations were gonna need. We thought we could go with screw piles or something like that for these things. But when we're putting it on the school division's property, they wanted a soil thing, they wanted engineered drawings on this thing. We didn't realize, I guess, our best intentions going in, didn't realize how substantial these foundations had to be. So it's sort of what the school division's required for putting them, they don't want these things tipping over on somebody and there being an issue or something like that, so.
I asked that because I did some research, and in 2022, Westlock had put in football lighting at a cost of $50,000. I realized the poles were only 40 feet tall, 12 lights per pole, and they had them put in a day.
Right.
Wondering what's the difference in what you're looking at compared to what a school field, Westlock, sounded like the same situation.
Yeah, I don't have obviously knowledge of Westlock's, per se, but with this one, I think, construction is probably only going to be a few days. However long it takes them to put the foundations in, the directional will happen fairly quickly and stuff like that. So I don't imagine it's going to take probably more than a couple weeks, start to finish, on the construction of it. To light the size of the field we have, this was what was Seco Poles came up with for, how high they needed to be with the lighting. We are using, newer LED technology, which is good. It's tough for me to compare apples and apples when I don't know what the one apple looks like. So is it a Granny Smith or is it a Macintosh? I'm not sure.
And as for directional, why are you doing the directional bores?
To to reduce, the directional reduces the cost of the wiring needed for it, because we can go under instead of having to go all the way around. The school was concerned about the trenching as well, and it being an upkeep issue or whatever. You know, you trench all the way around, you have to trench that much further, you have to use that much more wire, there's that much more loss. And again, I'm not an electrician, so don't quote me on this, but this is what my industry people had said. The directional guy gave us an amazing price on it as well. He basically gave it to us at you know, half the cost of what some of the other guys were, because he believed in youth sports again. And I think I detailed that in the report as well, that the directional was the way to go, and it was the school division's preference to see the directional done. And again, from a cost thing as well, right? We have gone with aluminum wiring as opposed to copper. The price of copper is crazy, and you know, likely it's going to get stolen before it can get put in the ground anyways. Just having it out in construction sites, it's crazy the amount of theft. But that's why the decision was to go with directional. So when we looked at the cost of trenching and stuff like that, it wasn't that much different. And the school division's preference really was to see it done directionally, right? You can go straight across the field instead of having to go all the way around, because we can't trench through the middle of the playing field. So
I'll let someone else go.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Schiffel.
Deputy Mayor, my question is for Mr. Kraus, and if we don't have an exact number, how do we prove, I think the gist of it was we're okay with going forward, just we didn't have a real number. How do we go ahead at this point? Understanding we still don't really have a real number, how do we move forward?
I mean, there's options for deputy mayors, there's options for council. I mean, we could, council could just forward the $60,000 and then ask it to be reconciled at the end of the project, and then funds coming back. Or the other option, council can just put $60,000 in the budget, and we could pay upon invoice up to a certain limit.
Councillor Hutchinson.
I think I would still like to see a more detailed breakdown, and like I said, we're just discussing the directional drilling. I don't know where that fits in under here. I don't know if you could come up with a more detailed spreadsheet with, you know, original cost, cost paid, grant funding, gift in kind, shortfall, things like that, just to, and to specify under each of those categories that you've put in there, what, just to give us a little bit more of an idea, because, you know, like I said, I don't know. You had shipping and anchors on the original, but then you've taken that off. I don't understand why. I don't know if that's an ask that council could have for maybe into the new year.
if council's officially asking for it, I don't have a problem doing it, so.
Thank you. Councillor Phillips.
Yeah, I would appreciate having just a little more detail, just so we have an idea of what the ask is, or a more precise idea of what the ask is. I know I've said this before, I do believe that this project has gone beyond the point of no return, because lights are here, the poles are paid for. It's unfortunate that, you know, that we're having to do this or having this conversation, but I do think this is beyond the point of no return, and we, you know, do need to make a decision in the next short while here.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Lott? Okay, well, I think we are good now. Doug, thank you so much for coming back in.
And I guess just to Councillor Phillips, this isn't my, you know, idea of, this wasn't how we intended to have to come back. We really did, you know, our intent was to keep things within the scope of it. You know, dealing, you know, Wes can attest, you know, through our meetings and stuff like that, I was very adamant, you know, trying to, you know, we need to keep this thing on budget as best we can, you know, dealing with some of the industry guys, right, you know, what can we do to make sure we're keeping costs down and stuff like that. So I do appreciate you guys, you know, letting us come back to the table and talk about this. And it really is, you know, meant to be a community enhancement. I mean, I'm kind of the face of it for minor football, but, you know, it is, everybody sort of benefits from this as well, right? You know, soccer and, you know, the school division teams and the community as a whole, right? So, we want to see this thing done. We don't like having to come back and ask for more money, and that's where we don't want to have to come back a second or a third time. You guys are going to run out of patience eventually and just say, you know, get stuffed. So that's where we're at. I appreciate your guys' time, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, you bet.
Okay.
Thanks.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Mr. Kraus, is our other delegation here? Oh, okay. Oh, it's zoomed. Okay, perfect. Merry Christmas. So our next delegation, we actually are going to be doing in closed session. So I just need a motion, Counselor Phillips.
Yes, I'll make a motion that we moved into closed session.
Thank you. Any discussion on the motion? None. Okay, call that to vote. Those in favor? And none opposed? That is carried.